This is Ubiquiti's brand new 2U UPS battery backup, the big brother to the tower size UPS. This is a 1 kilowatt VA, which stands for volts amperes if you are not familiar, versus a 1.44 VA on the rack-mounted version. So it is a little bit more powerful. They both have removable batteries. This one has more batteries. We're gonna get into it in a second. I already unboxed it, as you can see. I did that on my live show, so if you want to see that, go and check it out there. But this is gonna be a more thorough, in-depth review and look around and inside the UPS to see what's going on here. So on the front, you've got your, Christ, this is heavy. On the front, you have a LED indicator that it is on or working. Right now, this is not. It's not even plugged in. And then you have this front panel, which I will take off in a second after I put this down without breaking my hand. The front panel does pop off just by pulling on these little grooves over here. You can get it to pop right out just like that. Has these attachments on the inside so that it just clips directly into place. And then bringing it back around to the front here, you'll see this is the door where the battery compartment is accessed, and this is the rest of it. So let me get that door off. We can take a look at what that looks like inside. Straight into it. I don't usually break out the power tools with this stuff, but hey, why not? It's what I got. All right, whoops, don't break anything. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this comes off just like that. And inside you have your battery compartment here. Now I'm gonna pull that out. Really hope I'm not scratching the hell out of my desk right now. I'm going to pull these apart. There's a little tray in here where this just very, very easily pulls out like so. So this is your battery pack, or 2 packs as it were, because there's 2 batteries in here. And I'm just going to peel this kind of glued on there, so forgive me, Ubiquiti. Okay, that's off. And you have here your MHB battery, 12 volt, 9 amp, 20 hour lead acid battery. There's 2 of them. These suckers are heavy and looks like it should be relatively easily replaced. Relatively easy replaceable. You just plug in the new batteries should you need to replace them, which anybody who's done this before in IT or servers, you regularly need to replace your batteries. So 2 very solid, usable, replaceable. No, they're not LiFo, LiP4, I think it is. They are lead acid, but that's probably due to the fact that this is not the Pro model, if I had to guess. And this is not me having any foreknowledge from Ubiquiti, but if I were to guess, they are likely to be more Pro-level models that will come with those bigger, beefier batteries, as well as some of the additional features, which we'll get into in a bit, including there's no screen on the front panel for me to be able to see some quick information, such as how much time is remaining on the battery and so on. Let's put this back on and continue with the little tour here. Slide this bad boy back in. Pair these together. And then, whoops, want to close the actual door. That's important. I do not recommend using power tools when you're doing this. However, I'm the reviewer, which means I get to do crazy shit in the studio, and so this is what I'm doing. Also, less of a big deal if I break it. Let's pop this front panel back on here. It is upside down, so let's get that going the right direction here. And that's what these white covers are here on the front are for this to just pop right back into place. Boom, there you go. On the back of the UPS, you have the power button, which is important and also appreciated so that you don't just have people pushing buttons as they walk by your server rack. Not that you should have people walking by your server rack, but that's a story for another time. Now, you've got here on the bottom your 1 gigabit management port, and then you have also your 1 gigabit throughput if you wanted to have a network surge. And then you have 2 strips of outlets here, and if you are from an area that is not the United States, you are going to have different looking outlets here, obviously. Note that the top row is surge with battery, and the bottom row is only surge. Just like on the tower unit, don't make this mistake. It's not like some of the other UPSs you may have worked with in the past where they are all battery. Make sure you're plugging into the one that you want, and if you want the battery one, that's the top row. And then you've got your fuse over here, and then your power cable is actually quite long. I would say this is about 6 feet. Now, generally, when I am building out a rack, battery backups are very important, and so I usually bring in this guy, which is a CyberPower UPS. It is similar in size and weight, etc. It's actually a little bit, tiny bit smaller here than the Ubiquiti UPS. However, it's also more expensive, and Sure, it might do a few extra features, and sure, it does have on the back where all of the outlets are surge and battery. That being said, it doesn't have the nice integrated network monitoring like we're going to be able to see on the UniFi interface, which I'll plug in and power up in a second. All right, now I need to do a little bit of cleanup in this rack because I've got things not properly aligned here, and I'm going to make some room for this so that we can throw it into the Ubiquiti toolless test rack that I have here. However, I'm going to power my entire network infrastructure for here in the studio in the house, all running off of this, and we can get some numbers on how long it estimates it's going to be able to run the entire stack for. Just for record's sake here, we have UDM Pro Max, USW Pro XG, the WAN switch, I think U7 Pro wall, and then down here we've got another UDM Pro Max, an MVR, USW Pro HD, and a UNAS Pro, all running, as well as my internet modem router, etc. Right now it is estimated that I will get 19 minutes out of the current CyberPower that's in here, and it is currently drawing, I'm outputting 374 VA, and that's 365 watts, 370 watts, and estimated runtime is 18 or 19 minutes. So let's get this in the rack, let's move everything over to the new UPS, and let's see how much of a difference that makes. First things first, we're going to pop out this spacer because I don't need that anymore. I'm also going to move this Wi-Fi just up to the top so that that can sit pretty right over there. And then I'm going to be careful to move around these cables because I don't actually want to take those out right now. I am going to undo the WAN switch because I don't need that at this particular moment. Now we need at least 2 U, so I am going to move this up, which requires me to unscrew the little screws on the side. Because this is the toolless mini rack, this is super duper easy to do. And I'm going to do what I should have done a long time ago, and that's move this up to here. Now I believe, if I remember correctly, the reason why I didn't do that is because once upon a time I had a different switch in there, and then I had the patch panel below it, whereas that ship has sailed, and now I want to have it more compact. It'll also look better this way. All right, now also good practice, the heaviest thing should go on the bottom of the rack, so I am going to move the WAN switch off of the bottom because it's probably actually one of the lighter things in the rack. Okay, awesome. That is not going anywhere. I don't remember where that went. Oh well, I'll finish cleaning up all of this crap later on, but for now, let's see about getting this guy into here. Oh, there we go, look at that. That is a beautiful fit. Now I'm not going to I'm not going to screw it in just yet because I still want to plug everything in the back here. So step 1 is going to be getting this into power. Okay, because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to power this thing on. Second thing we're going to do is plug it in over here like so to the network. I know, you're freaking out, chill. All right, we're just gonna plug everything into this guy. All right, the beeping stopped, excellent. And now, of course, I need one of my handy dandy Ubiquiti branded network cables with the included Velcro, and we'll plug into the management port down below. Remember that time I said I wasn't going to screw it in yet? This is why, so that I can reach stuff back here. And then I'm going to run this over to this management spot over here that I plugged in before. And really that's all I need for this because it's going to be managed and everything else is plugged into everything that I just plugged into it. So, and because this is bugging me, I am actually going to get rid of this. And you see this cable actually powers to the rest of the studio network here. So of all the planning that I did when I designed this place, I did not include a switch directly to the desk because apparently I am an idiot. A couple things I forgot to mention. If you are not putting it into the toolless mini rack, which I have over here, you are given in the package your very hefty 2U wings for the for mounting it into a normal conventional rack. It has feet, which are always nice, and it has Ubiquiti's own rack screws and studs. Now for shits and giggles, I'm not doing that entire thing. I'll save something for another day, but oh my goodness. You scared me. All right, I don't remember what I was saying when my daughter, who's homesick from school today, came in and scared the bejesus out of me. But let's get back to whatever we were doing. So I'm going to jump over here into the web interface. All right, we're into the network. Let's hop over to devices, and I have already adopted it from before. It is looking for an update though, so I am going to run that so that you get to see the latest and greatest software that's on there. I'm going to hit confirm. All right, the update is completed, and right here on the screen you have the settings panel. You have your uplink on the back, as well as which outlets are giving power and battery, as well as which ones are giving just power, as well as your surge in and out capabilities and the speeds. Now, one thing to note, you're not able to turn the individual outlets on and off similar to how you would on the PDU Pro. So I do recommend at this point, if you are going to have this, keeping your PDU Pro or waiting for what I assume is a Pro model that will come later on with this integrated. This, as far as I can tell, is exactly the same as the tower version. You've got your surge and power utilization. You can see that I'm using 38%, 380 watts, which is pretty much in line with what I saw on the CyberPower that I was using before. And the battery is now charging up to 90%. I will unplug this and let it run for a little while and get an idea of how long it's going to last when powering all of the devices that I mentioned before. Safe shutdown pairing, I'm not going to do it this time, but you can essentially click to connect it to another network device, such as the UDM Pro Max that's running the network, and then it will do what's called safe shutdown, that when it gets down to, I believe it's 10%, it will turn off, it'll send the command to turn off the UDM Pro or UDM Pro Max, or as in this case, any of the NASs, the UNAS, etc. I have the instant sitting right here that I don't have set up right now, which it was asking me about, and you can see right here, it says click to pair. Then, of course, you have your model, how it's connected, IP address, MAC address, all that jazz. The amount of power, uptime, of course, the current and voltage that's going through it. And the power factor. At the bottom here, you have the parent device, which you can see that it's plugged into the USW Pro XG10, which is right here up in the rack. On the second tab, you have analytics. As far as I can tell, so far, all of this shows is it's online, it's offline, and it's been updated. So as time continues on, maybe we'll see more wattage draw kind of analytics coming through there. I don't know, but that would be pretty cool. Lastly, of course, you can rename it over on the top here, and you can, like anything else, change your IP settings. Now, you have here something that's called a NUT server capability. It shares the UPS status with other devices. You can use the ID of the host name and port when configuring third-party devices for safe shutdown. So you are able to tell other devices, similar to how you can tell a UNAS or a MVR or the UDM Pro that it should turn off safely. You're able to use a NUT server to tell other devices on your network that are also able to be integrated with a NUT server that you can turn them off, or that they should turn off because it's an imminent power failure. Then, of course, you have your usual set replacement device, load configuration, manual firmware updates, locate, restart, remote power off, which is good, I suppose, if you want to just turn it off completely, maybe before a storm or something. And then the locate button will, of course, when you click it, start blinking the little light, the little blue light on the face of the device. I'm going to stop locating that. Let's go back to this main screen. Let's let that charge up, and I'll continue talking over here. Now, I do wish that this had a screen on the front similar to the CyberPower that I showed before, where I would be able to, at a glance, just tap on the device and be able to see how much power is remaining, how much voltage it's doing, if it's at its limit, or if it has room to move, etc. Those are not available here. However, it should be really easy to do that both on the phone if you're using the mobile interface, or on your laptop as you're walking through, or even back at your desktop if you're looking at these devices. You should, of course, name these just like anything else, where you say specifically that it is in the rack, etc., which rack, where, so that you can go ahead and find them later on. That being said, as Ubiquiti says in their intro video, this is the beginning of a family of lineup of devices, so I would imagine that there are more powerful Pro and Enterprise level devices that are coming. However, I am very happy with both the price and the capability of this device, and I will be stacking my rack with them so that we will have a solid amount of battery backups, and now I can get these from Ubiquiti and don't have to buy the pain in the butt to manage ones from CyberPower or others. The UniFi UPS 2U costs $279 and is available today. I am going to continue running this in my production environment here in the test rack, as well as probably get at least 1 or 2 more for the main rack. That being said, if you have questions and comments, please drop them down below. I do read pretty much all of my comments. Sometimes YouTube is a little weird in how it shows them to me, so I don't see them all the time, but I do try and answer questions when I see them. This is the beginning of what I think is going to be a great product lineup for Ubiquiti, so I'm sure there is more to come. As always, thanks for watching.